know what to play with. Admit it, you've heard it from your kids. I think it drives every parent crazy, but especially here in the States where we know our kids have plenty to play with. If you have ever suffered with the I'm bored and don't know what to play with, this might be the video for you. I'm Jacqueline. This is Homeschool Hangout.xyz, and I make videos about homeschooling and raising your kids and educating your kids as a homeschooler or not. And I'd love it if you stuck around and joined the community. Thumbs up, subscribe, join the Facebook group, find me on social media, all the things. Let's get into it. Okay, have you walked into a room and you see your kid just standing there with toys everywhere and going, I don't know what to do, I'm bored. Now, I will admit, I sarcastically almost always respond with, well, if you can't figure out something, I do have baseboards that could use a cleaning. But really, I think that this is a problem that stems not from just spoiled children, but being overwhelmed with choices and not sure how to make them. I've always been, how do I say this? So my kids, it's kind of like a toy rotation, but it's less about hiding things and more about being intentional. What do I mean? Okay. So let's take a baby or an infant more. A baby, not newborn, but that toddlery age, 6 months to 2 years. You put them in the middle of a pile of toys or a playpen full of toys, and they're just going to sit there and fuss and cry. You kind of wonder why they don't just pick up a toy and play with it, because there's so many there, right? Well, if you put them in an empty playpen and you hand them 1 or 2 toys, they're going to start playing with them and they won't fuss. Seriously, I remember hearing about this decades ago, before I had children. I think it was like a Baby Wise, Growing Kids God's Way audio tape even. Yeah, not even the video. And it really hit a note with me because I remember my siblings being like this, because my siblings are 8 to 16 years younger than me, and me not understanding why they were always so bored and frustrated. So when I had kids, of course, what did I do? I experimented on them, because that's what they're here for, right? My amusement and experimentation. But I wanted to know, is that a fluke or is that actually a thing? Because my siblings were always frustrated. Then as these tapes told me, oh, just give them one thing and I'll teach them how to concentrate. Yes, it did say teach them how to concentrate. And so it's like, okay, so let's try. Let's experiment. Let's do some things. Well, this is a developmental thing too. So if you're going to give them one thing to focus on, they're going to really figure out what all they can do with it. And I can say, as a homeschool parent specifically, I want my kids to have that time enough to figure out what their passions are and to get a passion, to follow it and all that stuff. And so this kind of really feeds into that. So seriously, not only is it good for your kids to have alone time as babies, meaning you might be able to see them, but they can't see you. It teaches them to play alone, but it teaches them how to figure out the mysteries of something. I equate it to, for all ages, the idea of going into a restaurant that has 5 pages of food and you can't figure out what to get because you're so overwhelmed, you can't see the tree for the forest. So yes, if you've got babies, seriously, that really tends to work well. You give them one thing and that's what they play with, or 2 things, and then you do that kind of on a rotation. But let's look ahead to that 3 to 10-year-old age. So as part of our normal homeschool day, when the kids were young, ever since they could move, they've always had some go away from me and playtime is what I called it. Meaning, I'm here if you need me, but please go away and find something to play. So frequently you find if you just say go away and play, they go in a room, they can't figure out what to do, they start bickering about what to do. They go from thing to thing where it's like, oh, I'm going to play with the kitchen set, then I'm going to play with this, then I'm going to play with that, and now I'm bored. And you're like, dude, you just how? But I would say, instead, go play in the kids' room, because we were very blessed. We had a big playroom. And I'd like you to play with this or this. Which one do you guys want to do? Now, I'm not saying here is this one block or here's this one, play microwave. No, it'd be like you can play with Legos or you can play with the kitchen set. You can play with tanagrams, or you can play with the Mega Blocks. And yes, we play with the Mega Blocks and the Legos slightly differently. Our Mega Blocks are mega. You can build towers and climb in them. I mean, it was great. But they would pick that, the Lincoln Logs, the kitchen set, the dolls, whatever that is. Now, frequently, if it was just all my kids or my kids and some friends, you might get two who say, oh, I want to go play with this, and two would say, I want to play with that. That's fine. Break up. You don't all have to play the same thing. And that would really, really work well for us. They would often stick to those things, and they would play with them for 45 minutes, an hour or so. And it would help them like delve into everything they can do. And I know 45 minutes or an hour doesn't sound that long unless you've had kids who flip from thing to thing going, I'm bored. In which case an hour of concentrated play really is nice. So I'm looking at this, and I have some notes written out. And it's like, they can delve into a project. My kids were big on building cities. And when I say that, in my house, we had the play carpets. You can get them from IKEA for like $25, Target, things like that. And for us, the blocks or whatever you're playing on pretty much needs to stay on that. That's how you could walk through the room, because it was my front-facing room in the last house. That's how you could get from the door to my living room or my kitchen without stepping on a Lego. So they would take that and they would turn it into a city, and they would build these huge projects. And we would let them leave them out, and only clean up once or twice a week. And that was our choice. That doesn't work for everyone, but that worked for us. But they would, play for an hour doing that. And, I'm looking at this. The cheater thing, though, is you can make the suggestion. Okay, they've been playing with the kitchen set every day for the last week, and tensions run high, or they're bored, or whatever. You can suggest the thing they don't play with all the time. Make two choices. Make the thing they've been hitting every day, but then also give them another suggestion of maybe a game they haven't pulled out for a while or something like that. So you're kind of in control of that. You're going to give them two choices, and just two choices. And I say this about a lot of things, even with toddlers. Are you going to do this behavior or this behavior? Two choices. It just makes it easier. Now, that morphs into that kind of 8 to 14 range, where instead they would start saying, hey, I'm going to go in the kids' room and I'm going to go play this. You don't have to ask them anymore. You've taught them to kind of think about where they're going and what they're doing. And think about your own life. If you can teach yourself to think about it framed in, I'm going to do some sort of work, or I've got 7 things to do, but I can't do all 7 at once. I'm going to sit down and work on this, then this, then this. That's a skill that you've now given them, that not only has it brought them a lot more joy and enabled them to play with their toys better and made you not want to, strangle them, it's a skill they're going to take on into their adulthood. The other part, though, is that 8 to 14, especially, even like 15, 16, they kind of announce it. I'm going to go do this. And part of the nice thing is that teaches them to do it. One, they're focused, so you don't have to wonder if they're going to go in and circle. But 2, they're giving that opportunity to anyone else who hears, who says, oh, hey, can I go play that with you? Or, hey, I want to play that later. Can you do something else, and then we'll do that together later? It teaches them those social navigation skills too. So in our house, that always worked out really well. And then, of course, now at this point, my kids are a lot older. And so they still will have that mentality of, I'm going to go watch TV. Does anybody want to watch with me? I'm going to go shoot pool. Does anyone want to go play pool with me? Or I'm going to go and no one's invited. I'm going to do this. And it just helps us all check in. I'm looking at this. One extra benefit to this, which is not the reason we did it at all, other than not being forward, not fighting, they only have one set of things to clean up at a time. It stops kind of that overwhelm at the end of the day where they've pulled out 10 things, not really finding anything they want to play with. It helps set that up of, and now don't get me wrong, my kids play with for a half hour and then go, okay, I don't want to play that anymore. Great. Go clean it up. And then what are you going to do? It really did help them be deliberate in what they're doing. So not only does it help combat the I don't know what to do's, it helps them learn how to plan, how to do something, how to focus, and how to execute. That's what we did with our kids. How do you battle the I don't know what to do's? If you watch this to the end, please let me know and leave a comment in the bottom. And I will talk to all you beautiful people later. Bye.